In this lesson, we take a look at the Nord Stage 3's capability to produce the effect of a sub-oscillator. First of all, what is a sub-oscillator? Well, we all know what a regular oscillator is. I'm just going to start with the A11 Royal Grand 3D, and we'll turn on the synth engine and we'll reset it. And here's a classic saw wave. So the idea is you take an oscillator and you mix in an oscillator with half the voltage, which would be exactly 1 octave lower. So we have an option here for that in the oscillator configuration of our Nord Stage 3, where we can actually crossfade, and you actually get the choice of crossfading either the same oscillator, in this case it would be a saw with a saw, but you can crossfade a square or a triangle or a sine wave as well. And when you crossfade those, you get many options. You get the option of how much you want that second oscillator to be faded in or crossed in. You also have the option to determine the pitch of that. So it doesn't have to be an octave. It can be any combination of semitones all the way down to an octave, which they consider sub. And that's where you get the name, the abbreviated name, sub-oscillator. And then all the way up to positive 12 through 24 through 36 all the way to 48. So let's listen to it on the sub option as I mix it in. Obviously I can mix it so far that all you hear is the sub, and you wouldn't really need that, otherwise you just move the octave key down and use a regular oscillator. The idea of mixing it is that you can blend the two and make for a thicker sound versus this. Big difference there. And then because this oscillator knob can be fluctuated using the LFO, you can have the LFO do interesting things like this. Alright, now if you take this concept a step further, you could, let's say, copy this panel and bring it over to panel B by pasting it like this. And now you've got the same combination, but if you raise this an octave on panel B, you've got the two oscillators handling those 2 octaves in the higher register, and then you've got panel A handling those 2 octaves in the lower register, and you combine the two for a very thick sound. Now you introduce things like unison to panel A with some reverb. Don't necessarily see it on the screen here, but I'm just putting in a little reverb. Just panel A. That alone sounds pretty darn good. With just a unison 2 in this crossfaded mix of the sub-oscillator option. Then you can add a few things like Moog filter here. We'll add a little resonance, bring the frequency down a bit, add some modulation envelope with a little bit of attack and a little decay, little release. And you've got some interesting sounds. In no time at all. So that's the sub-oscillator feature. That's how it works. That's how you make thick sounds on a synth.